I was born and raised in the Rio Grande Valley in deep South Texas, in a small town called Rio Grande City. I come from a family of three. I have an older sister and a younger brother, Susana and Juan Gabriel. My father started as a auto, working with the Ford Motor Company in that town. And then he opened a small business, an auto parts business, went to Catholic school, then left in 1961 to come to Our Lady of the Lake. So 55 years ago, I walked into the floors of this building. And then it was a wonderful 4 years here with the Sisters of the Divine Providence. Missed my family, missed my parents, but we made it. And after graduation, I went to work for the Chamber of Commerce for a while, and then I went to the San Antonio Express News in 1969, where I spent 35 years, and it was a very rewarding career. And that's how I met my husband, and here I am. Well, I never had left home. I had always, I'd never been away from my parents, and it was hard for both of them and for me to come that fall of 1961 to Our Lady of the Lake. But the moment that we walked in to this building, which is the main building, the sisters welcomed us, and they ensured my parents that they would take very good care of me. And that was a very good feeling for my parents, because they felt that I would be safe and I would be cared for. And the sisters, they really encouraged us. They took care of us. They loved me like they had known me for a long time. They taught us to be ladies of the lake. We were taught to be graceful, grace-filled, and gracious. And I hope that 55 years later, I'm still following that motto. But it was hard for me to leave home. But I met new friends, and I knew that this was my second home, and had a wonderful 4 years here. They believed in me. They prepared me for a career in journalism that I had not even studied for, because I had a degree in languages. But like they said, you can do anything you want to do as long as you set your mind to do it, and that's what happened. I worked after graduation. I had majored in languages, so my goal was to work for the United Nations. Go to New York, to the big city. My dad, being a very protective father, very old-fashioned, very traditional, he wouldn't let me go to New York. So I was lucky to get a job with the Chamber of Commerce during Hemisphere. So I worked at Hemisphere, and it was during the fair that I met the Kilpatricks, Charles and Margie Kilpatrick. He was the editor of the newspaper at the time, and he was looking for a bilingual secretary. And he saw that I talked a lot. I asked a lot of questions. I don't know how to take shorthand. I don't know how to type. He says, that's okay. I don't either, but we can work together. So he offered me a job. I came to work for the Express News in May of '69. I think I was at the right place at the right time, because that's what opened the doors for me. He was a man that was very encouraging, very motivating. He was like my second dad. My father had to come interview him before I took the job, because he wanted to make sure what gringo I was going to be working for, and what were his intentions for his young daughter. So they became best of friends. Mr. Kilpatrick was my mentor, my role model. He encouraged me to do more things than being a secretary, opened the door for me, challenged me. So in those 35 years with the newspaper, I wrote a column for 17 years. I started the Community Relations Department. We were the first paper in the country to have a Community Relations Department dedicated to the community. Most of the papers had marketing departments, but they didn't have a community relations that would be a standalone department. So I created that department. At the same time, I was writing the column. And then created the Express News Charitable Foundation because we worked, I mean, we helped over 200 nonprofit organizations every year with cash or advertising space. And then when Mr. Kilpatrick retired, then Larry Walker became the publisher, and he challenged me again. So my career has been challenges from the beginning, from being a secretary to writing a column, starting a department, and then Larry Walker offered me the position of vice president for the community relations, and there was another door that opened for me, and I jumped in. Well, I encourage women to not be afraid. I encourage them to never give up, to prepare themselves as much as they can. I mean, we never stop learning. You know, I've been retired 10 years, and it seems that I learn something every week. So, you know, you're going to have challenges, you're going to have obstacles, but you're going to have to overcome the obstacles. You want to emulate people. You want to associate yourself with people that are doing good things. You want to emulate, you want to imitate people that have become leaders in the community, that have become servants of God. You want to be with people that are going to make you feel good and are going to make you better. You don't want to be hanging around with losers. So that's one of the things that I always tell young people when I used to go to schools to talk about how to become a better person. I always mention that. Always, aim to be the best. Always look up to people that are making a difference in their community, and the sky is the limit. And about breaking the ceiling, I don't consider myself breaking the ceiling. I mean, if I was the first to do anything, the important thing is that I was not the last. I'll let Ruben start that one.
We were here really at the request, or the invitation, I should say, of Sister Jane Ann, who we had visited with previously at the house. Well, she's been to our house many, many times. But this particular time, she said, we'd like to do this, and we're thinking about the media center and so forth. And so it was as a result of that visit that she said, well, why don't you come on campus, see what we have? And that was what?
3 years ago.
3 years ago or so. It was the year before she left.
Yes.
Anyway, so we came at, as I said, at Sister's invitation. And we had a great tour. Dr. Laney and Michael and others, and Dan and Sister. And we were impressed with what was going on. In spite of some make-do stuff, equipment that had been donated and was basically obsolete, I guess, by some of the TV stations, and it was put to good use. And Sister explained to us the vision that she had, and Dr. Laney, of what could be. And we thought about it. We went home, thought about it for quite a while, to be frank with you. And then we said, maybe we can do this and help young people succeed, or put them on the road to success by virtue of doing this particular contribution. So we hope that it's something that it's really at the very beginning of, and we were talking earlier today about how does this particular center become a leader nationally, or first I guess you have to say area-wise, and then statewide, and then nationally. But I think the beginning is there, and it's, as Veronica said, the important thing here is that we continue that path, and judging from the alumni that this particular center at this very young age has had, and there's graduates of the program practically nationwide. And so it's encouraging to see that. And it's encouraging for us as benefactors of the school, and certainly Veronica as an alumnus rather, of the university, to see that there's a possibility to create something of national recognition here. Not that we're there yet, long ways from that, but it would be nice if that could happen. And it will be upon people like yourself and the other students to carry that forth by virtue of the deeds that you accomplish in the professional world. So we're proud to do it, and we think it's going to be just absolutely great. From what we've seen, it is fantastic. So I compliment everybody in what has been accomplished here. It's really been a transformation that has occurred here.
When we visited with Sister Jane Ann, she mentioned the Media Center. And she says, we could call it the Veronica Salazar Media Center. Well, I said, I was in print media, but when you talk about media, I mean, you're talking about different elements of media. Like here you have the print, you have broadcast, you have film, digital, and I understand public relations. And I understand that you're thinking of doing some sports journalism also, and that's wonderful. So when Sister approached us, like Ruben says, we visited about it, we prayed about it, and we felt that that was the best thing, the right thing to do. And now that we come back and we see what has been done with our gift, it's just amazing. And students like you, Jessica, and Gabby, and Michael, that's a graduate from here, seeing what you all are doing with your work, with the equipment, with the talent. It's just, now we know that we made the right decision.